Next up is the alarm system. Go to alarmable, game object home. In our alarmable, it's we have our on the public side submit, alarm registration, and deregistration. We have our user functions. We give them the ability to use 3 alarms, and then we have our trigger alarm and alarm registration, deregistration, and then our registration data, which isn't a struct because we kind of have a lot, and it's easier to store that way. So in our alarmable, what I do is I create 3 sets of registration, not data, but 3 sets of the commands and registration states so that we're not creating them over and over again. And then in the structure, we make sure to delete the ones that we created. These are the callbacks. And then in trigger alarm, this is a callback from when the alarm is actually triggered. So we have the ID of the alarm, and then we set that to be deregistered. And from the ID, we call I say callback a lot. Hope you know what I mean. We call the actual callback, the user callback, to what they want to trigger. So in the alarm registration, deregistration is very similar to what we've seen, except that we have an array of, or a struct of registration data. So we have to make sure to, organize this properly so that we're using reg data ID. So we have to keep track of those IDs and what ID we're talking about. So other than that, it's very similar to our other functions or our other ULs. In our manager, we have our enum, which is the 3 alarms, which the user uses to reference the alarm IDs. Obviously, if we wanted to extend this, we could just change the number of alarms, change the number of enums, and then it would be, I think here we would change the number of callbacks. So then pretty simple, pretty easy to change. But here we have a list of our alarm events and our list of, we have an alarm event, and then we have a map of alarm events. So the alarm event stores the alarmable pointer as well as the alarm ID. So when we process alarms, we have, we get the current time, and then we get the beginning of the timeline, which is ordered obviously by time. So if our excuse me. So if our so if our actual time is less than our current time, then we will trigger the alarm, and then we will erase it from the list, and then we will have our reference point to the beginning of the list again because we erased reference from our list. Again, this will only be called a few times because it won't go through everything. It'll only be called a few times, maybe the first couple of alarms, probably just the first alarm. So not very costly. We have our register, which we store the reference here, and then we return the reference. So we're for storage, and then we have our deregister here, which erases it from our timeline. I should, no, that's fine. So then I'm looking at the list here. Yeah, I think that's it for the alarm. Thank you.